If I were to ask you what is the most dangerous location in all of Breath of the Wild, what exactly would you come up with? Perhaps it's Eventide Island. After all, this is one of the hardest challenges in the base game. Or maybe it's Hyrule Field, where guardians constantly roam around the land ready to snipe Link from half a mile away. Maybe it's the Forgotten Temple, where there are minimum 4 guardians training their sights on Link ready to fire at any given moment. And all of these are decent answers. But I do have to cite that this is a bit of a trick question, because the most dangerous place in Breath of the Wild Master Mode is all of them. And yeah, I know it sounds like kind of a cop-out of an answer, but Master Mode makes most encounters that you might have with enemies in the game significantly harder. It's not even the fact that they regenerate health, there's just a lot more enemies than in the base game. They're also way stronger than in the base game too. Now, I genuinely do not believe that every single location in this game is as dangerous as Hyrule Castle, for instance, but if we're strictly looking at places where enemies can kill you within 1 or 2 hits, yeah, I'd say that's pretty bad. Being about almost 40 hours into a Master Mode playthrough where I am supposed to go to random location after random location until I beat the game, I can pretty confidently say that the large majority of locations in this game are just like that, especially since I've encountered all 4 of the golden variants of standard enemies in the game by this point: Bokoblins, Lizalfos, Moblins, and Lynels. Each one of these can easily one-shot Link and have proven themselves capable of doing so time and time again. But if there's one enemy that has proven to be the most frustrating and annoying to fight, it is the golden Lizalfos. Their attacks are extremely fast and unpredictable. They have both ranged and melee attacks, and their AI moves like those weird frilled neck lizards that can occasionally run on water. Which is kind of the point, I guess? Yeah, but seriously, are they supposed to move like that? I legitimately can't tell if their AI is just like that or if it's bugged or whatnot. The reason why I bring up fighting Lizalfos is that was essentially the very first thing I did in this batch of recordings. The first location to go to was the Gonpanga village ruins in the Lanayru wetlands area. Fighting this golden Lizalfos was a particular pain in the ass because he simply would not sit still. Oh, I almost had the sneak strike on him. Where are you going, sir? As for the runes themselves, there's an electric wizard guy who is honestly kind of a pushover compared to the nonsense that I had to put up with earlier. But other than a rusty halberd, there isn't really much left in these ruins. And since I kept getting harassed by Stalinies, I decided to make a fire, which is honestly something I should have done way more often. You know, when I can actually do so. Can't pass that. Why? Next, it was off to Elden Canyon, where I tackled another 8 Neotalis. I am genuinely shocked that I didn't die, considering that I didn't just get hit once but twice. Anyways, the Lana bow I got from the golden Lynel I fought in the previous video really came in handy here. And then it was Ganesh Shaka Shrine, a modest test of strength that I had already done. Now, I'm gonna be honest here, these guys have gotten pretty trivial by this point. After that, it was at Bona Forest again, where I actually legitimately remembered that magnesis was a thing. I found one of the DLC chests underneath a tree, and lo and behold, it was the Phantom Ganondorf. So now I have a pair of pants that is most definitely haunted. And then it was Roke Woods, where it was time to fight one of the strongest enemies in this game. Now, I know I had made the claim in the last video that golden Lynels were the strongest enemy in this game. Well, I was wrong, because it turns out that bears are even stronger for some reason. I tried killing a bear with Urbosa's Fury, don't ask about the context, and the bear simply was too powerful. Really? It doesn't even do damage to... Oh, that's fun. Yeah, I might die to this bear, honestly. That'd be very funny. And after that humiliating defeat by the hands of Mother Nature, it was time to go to the Rauru Settlement Ruins. I had a little duel with a member of the Eagle Hand before Mother Nature tried to strike me down with lightning, since I guess she saw what I was trying to do with that bear. I can shoot you at point blank range too, dude. It's not that hard. Boy. I did manage to find a chest in the ruins where there was a thunderstorm rod. Ironically, I almost got struck by lightning trying to clear space in my inventory to actually grab the rod itself. And then it was time to go back to Hyrule Castle again. Still not going to fight the final boss though. What the fuck? Hello? Is that supposed to happen? Probably, it's fine. This time it was time to go to the dining room. And I genuinely don't know if it's just me, but the enemies here were significantly scarier than they were when I was last here. There are 4 silver moblins here in an enclosed space, which is honestly just terrible. Especially since there is a lot of good loot in this room, and so it was definitely worth trying to get stuff from here. However, just as I was about to take on 2 silver moblins at once, I got a phone call and stopped recording to take it. When I finally came back to the game, it was pretty much instant death. God, it seems I'm really popular today for some reason. Oh my fucking god! Oh no, that's bad! I'm just dead. Yeah, that's cool, that's great. That's just fine for now. And as much as I wanted to try to get some of the useful weapons that they had scattered about the room, these guys were absolutely having none of it. That was a terrible angle. What a face, though. Honestly, really, just peak. I managed to grab the royal bow that was stuck in the chandelier for some reason, but I failed to grab the spear that was just in the fireplace. They really do like to hide the weapons in weird places, huh? Anyways, I pretty much decided to cut my losses and run away while I still could. It's kind of a running theme of this series as a whole, actually. And then I stopped by Goron City to grab some more arrows, which will definitely come in handy for absolutely no reason whatsoever. Now, another thing I know I had said in the last video is that the fight in Dragon's Exile was the most chaotic fight I've ever done in this playthrough. However, I think this sequence at Oculus Span makes that look like a cakewalk by comparison. Oh, that might stop me now, though. But you know what? It's fine. It'll be fine. What am I worried about? Nothing. I'm not worried about anything. Why would I be worried? Why would I be worried? Why would I? What? Do I have any reason to be worried? I'm perfectly fine. Oh my god. Uh-oh. That's bad. Oh, why the fuck? Sometimes this game just gives you a slap on the wrist and says, hey, no. And I kid you not, this was legitimately the scariest fight in this playthrough so far. Oh shit. Please don't wake them up. Please, I beg of you, please do not. What? I swear to God. How? How is this man, this singular guy? Oh my god. Stop. Thank you. I can yoink that weapon from him and I should be good to go. They really do go honk shoe. Unfortunately for me, this enemy base was one of the ones where the chest only unlocks after you beat all of the enemies, which is particularly cruel. Oh god. Okay, so that's bad. That's kind of bad, actually. Especially since the only way that I was able to defeat some of these guys in the past was by knocking them off of high places and having gravity do the rest. And even then, this particular motherfucker still didn't die. Nice. That was a fun little horrible thing. So after that clusterfuck of a fight, I finally got to see what was in the chest, which was 5 bombers, which all things considered is a terrible reward. After that, it was Elden Mountain, not to be confused with Elden Canyon. And I decided that since this was technically a region and not a place, and that region technically included the Elden Great Skeleton, I decided to pay a visit to my old friend, the Elden Great Skeleton. Now, unfortunately for me, the closest shrine to that skeleton I had gotten the warp point for was Shoraha Shrine, which isn't exactly in the most convenient of locations. That's fine. Oi! That's fine. No, that might go too fast. That might go too fast. I went off this red. Thank you. Anyways, after somehow not managing to fall into the lava a second time, I was able to finally make my way to the skeleton, and oh, good lord. Oh, that's really bad. That's really bad. I am kicking a hornet's nest here. I am so stupid here. You know what, I'm just gonna leave them be, you know, it's really not a big deal. After Shodan 2, it was time to go back to Aquila to visit the North Aquila Valley, where there was yet another Golden Lionel. And just because I've beaten one of these guys so far doesn't mean that they're any less intimidating at all. We love to see it. God, I wish I had arrows. This is a war of attrition and I will not lose. Okay, so it was almost down to half, which is good. I'm gonna do that shit again and regenerate health too, which is just great and fantastic. Somehow that worked. Oh no 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 no. I didn't get the flurry rush on that, which I am upset about. The important thing is that I have to prevent him from regenerating health too. Why would you do that? From point blank range. This guy took me almost 10 minutes to beat because all of the really strong weapons that I had broke during the last line that I fought. And shockingly, I didn't die once in this fight. Uh-oh. That's bad. That's bad. That's bad. I might be dead here. Oh, he's so low. Come on now. With Boomerang. Yes! Okay. After that, it was time to do a sick dive in the water of Okal's navel, grabbing another Korok, and then it was Grooted Highlands, which is actually really cool since it's the third and probably least well-known location where Farash actually spawns in. But rather than do anything with that, I grabbed a chest with $100 in it, then I left, to go to Ibarra Boot. Okay, so I kind of misunderstood the assignment and went to Como Shoreline instead. Whoops. I fought the same Guardian that I did from the last video, except it was significantly harder because I didn't have ancient errors that could literally just blip him out of existence. When I actually realized where I needed to go, I did this comically large Korok puzzle that could actually very likely be seen from space. And then it was finally time to complete a shrine which I had previously not been able to do because of Vanaboris creating a huge sandstorm, and that is Rakazanzo Shrine. Rakazanzo Shrine is the one that is associated with the Sands Hill Rally, a fun little side quest that I hadn't done before. It features Tali and Shibone, two Garuda characters who I think are just instantly iconic. I mean, one of them has an afro for crying out loud. Anyways, it was pretty straightforward to beat the great Shibone at their own game, get the shrine orb, and complete yet another blessing shrine. Also, I left the animation of Link winning in because I think it's just really funny. Then it was Rotella Dam, which is honestly one of the locations I struggled the most to get to. I am not even kidding. If this were my normal save, I would simply just use Cryonis to create platforms and just hop my way over to the dam from one of the other docks on the East Reservoir Lake. But since I haven't actually completed the Varuda quest yet, the game doesn't exactly want you doing that. The other approach I had to getting there was simply sailing the cliffs on the Rotella River up to the dam. Well, another problem with not having finished Varuda yet is that it is constantly raining throughout the entirety of Zora's domain. This meant that simply climbing up to the Rotella Dam was extremely difficult because of the fact that Link kept slipping. And even when I managed to Skyrim horse my way up there, my path was also blocked by a really weird headwind that I simply couldn't figure out the cause of. Even with Revalia's Gale, this weird draft of wind repeatedly got in my way and made things significantly harder. I think this is just because of Varuda being Varuda, I don't know. Anyways, after almost 10 minutes of trying to weasel my way up the side of the cliff, I finally managed to make it onto the platform at the top of the dam, only to find absolutely nothing there waiting for me. Great. Thankfully, at least there were some bummable rocks with a chest hidden inside nearby, and the end result of all that work was 10 normal arrows. Truly just wonderful. Okay, I have an unexpected addition to this. I didn't actually try to go around Varuda until the very late stages of editing this video, and apparently it knocked me in such a way that I was able to actually swim the rest of the way to the East Reservoir Dam, which is honestly really funny. I wish I had tried that earlier, but whatever. After that long and tedious effort, it was time to go Canyon, which is honestly one of the best spots for the developers to hide secrets and other pieces of treasure. I freed a Korok from its eternal prison, defeated a few enemies, killed some of the local wildlife. Oh, for fuck's sake. One time. Just one time where I can say that I didn't do this. Speaking of murder, the next location was the Dueling Peaks. I pretty much annihilated a bokoblin who was just in the wrong place at the wrong time and took his royal claymore, which is honestly kind of insane that they had this here at all. And then it was time to go back to the Digadock Suspension Bridge, where I beat up the same Hinox I did earlier in this playthrough, but much more efficiently. I also grabbed a fancy shield as well as a diamond and solved yet into the Korok puzzle. And after that it was Kata Shuki Shrine, which is a minor test of strength, which emphasis on the word minor test of strength, but more importantly this is also extremely good to have the waypoint for this shrine because it makes getting to Hyrule Castle significantly easier. After that I went back to Zora's Domain where I interacted a little bit more with some of the NPCs, many of whom realized who Link was and were very confused. Link, what's wrong with you? It's the Hylian that Prince Sidon brought here, don't tell me. Master Link, is it truly you, the Hylian champion? It's me, Griffin. We used to swim together when I was but a child, remember? I don't remember. Well, it has been 100 years since then, and now I'm over 130 years old. I must say, you've aged well for a Hylian, unbelievably well. Now that I think about it, shouldn't you be dead? Sorry, that might be too personal question. Close to the lake itself, I pretty much almost died of fall damage, but just managed to drown Link instead. Actually, no you don't. Oh god, I might be dead. Oh, what the fuck just happened? I really thought I was gonna die of fall damage there, I'm glad I didn't. I also completely fried Elizalvis, which definitely wasn't horrifying at all. And now it is time to talk about one of my absolute favorite quests in this entire game. Of course, the exact quest I'm talking about is the Shrine of Wisdom side quest involving nature. Let it be known that I'm a big fan of dragons in any piece of media. It just makes literally anything and everything 10 times better. And there are a lot of details that I can talk about when it comes to this quest. One of the main reasons why I love this quest so much is because of how player context radically changes how they might approach the top of Mount Lanayru. Depending on how far you are into the game at this point, radically changes what your first encounter with nature might actually look like. And I think the biggest piece of context is obviously knowing that the dragons even exist in the first place. The three dragons of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, Nature, General, and Farash can all be found at various places throughout the game. I'd say that the chances are pretty good that the players have already encountered one of the dragons by this point in the game. After all, one of Farash's spawn points is literally right off the Great Plateau in Lake Hylia. I've already encountered General and Farash multiple times throughout the course of this playthrough, however Nature is nowhere to be seen. The reason for this is because she's been corrupted by Ganon's malice and she's been resting on the top of Mount Lanayru where she's been guarding the Spring of Wisdom. In fact, it's not out of the question that under the right circumstances there are people out there who play Breath of the Wild who only think there are two dragons in the game. The game doesn't go out of its way to tell you that nature even exists at all. Most NPCs don't acknowledge the existence of the dragons at all, let alone mention them by name or how many of them there are. Even though you can find hints of it in the little comments that some of the NPCs make, no one seems to acknowledge them whatsoever. Even the compendium makes a note of this. All of the compendium records for the three elemental dragons across both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom make note of the fact that few have seen them in the current age. Although apparently it's implied by one of Tracy's articles in Breath of the Wild that children might have been able to see the dragons. Glad to see that she's at least providing some journalistic integrity right there. Now this lack of information could also just be applied to the Spring of Wisdom as a whole as well. There is one NPC in Hatena Village who brings up Mount Lanayru and the legend regarding Princess Zelda associated with it, but once again, no mention of nature at all whatsoever. This is actually what prompts the game to start the side quest of the tracker, but it's not like players actually need to get the shrine quest to go up to Mount Lanayru. Speaking of Zelda, another piece of context that players might have when approaching Mount Lanayru is memories number 14 and 15. If the players unlock these memories at this point in the game, you know in a normal playthrough of this game, they'll know that Link and Zelda were planning to go up to Mount Lanayru 100 years ago on Zelda's 17th birthday to visit the Spring of Wisdom. But even if the player doesn't necessarily have this info, it's alluded to in the hint that the Shrine Quest NPC gives you. But another more interesting piece of context depends on whether or not this is your first time you've encountered one of the dragons, or whether you've run into Dinral or Farash at this point. If you have, then you're probably familiar with the dragon's theme by this point. And as you approach the top of Mount Lanayru, you start to hear a very interesting piece of music. That is, when you're not in the middle of combat. And if this is your first time encountering one of the dragons in this game, then you probably won't be able to make much of it. But if you had the chance to encounter one of them before, then you can immediately tell that this is the dragon's theme, but it feels wrong somehow. It's distorted and feels unnerving compared to what the dragon's theme is supposed to sound like. And even before you hear the music, you can hear the sounds that nature makes, almost as if the game is emphasizing the pain that the malice is causing her. And while I had some doubt about whether this was extreme compared to the normal weird sounds the dragons make, yeah, it's definitely a lot more, and it's definitely a lot more noticeable. Truthfully, I don't know what they changed to make it sound different, and I don't even truthfully know if it does actually sound different or if I'm going completely insane, but I still think it's a neat detail nonetheless. And when you finally reach the peak of Mount Lanayru, you finally catch your first glimpse of the blue spirit nature, except that she's been corrupted by Ganon's malice. The Ganon statue implores you to fire at nature's body and free him from the malice's corruption. However, the malice isn't exactly about to let nature just sit there and let that happen. She flies off into the sky, and this gives you a true sense of scale for just how large the dragons are in this game. In fact, Nature in her Malice form is literally one of the largest creatures in the game, and even larger than her normal form. And the sequence that follows is arguably, in my opinion, one of the coolest sequences in the entire game. You essentially have to shoot the glowing eyeballs in Nature's body while Nature is flying haphazardly through one of the forests near Mount Lanayru. This is one of the few times in both Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom that we actually see a dragon have an actual effect on the environment around them. And yeah, while I know that the dragons have ambient effects that can hurt Link, they don't explicitly change anything about the surrounding world. But this very much feels like a blueprint for the final boss of Tears of the Kingdom. You've got a massive dragon in both instances who you need to pacify by flying around the environment and destroying the glowing eyeballs sitting on its back. Also, despite her being absolutely passive, Nature in her corrupted form doesn't actively try to harm Link. Yeah, sure, she will knock you down if you are in her way, and you do take damage if you come into contact with her, but she doesn't actively attack you anyway. Like the behavior of the dragons normally, they seem simply indifferent to Link's presence, even though Link is the only one that can actively see them. They are quite literally no thoughts had after. But speaking of Nature not interacting with Hylians all that much, Link is one of the few Hylians in this world that can actually see Nature at all, let alone free her from the Malice, which means that the players who simply didn't explore Mount Lanayru at all let Nature suffer all that time until they presumably beat Calamity Ganon and free Nature from the Malice anyways. Which is fun food for thought, I guess. Anyways, in terms of difficulty, this is probably one of the easier things I've had to do in this recording session so far. Let's get back to the pain and suffering then, because there's a lot more where that came from. After that, the next location was literally just Lanayru. I can't even make this up, to be honest. So since I was literally just there already, I completed the blessing shrine that you get as a result of completing the nature quest, and then it was time to go to Teneko Island, where I grabbed another chest in the water using Gryanus. I acquired yet another core for my core collection, and I would have said hi to my boy Cass, but he is not here yet. After that, it was time to go to Lake Sumac, which is the little pond near Hatena Village, where there was, you guessed it, yet another Korok. And then it was Misthathi's Shelf, which I don't really know if I'm pronouncing that right, but this was honestly literally the most frustrating Korok puzzle in all of existence. And I genuinely don't know how they intended people to solve this puzzle, but it sucked. A lot. Come on. Oh, yeah! Watch this not be the right thing. I swear to God. I would be so pissed off. Oh, thank God. Okay, I was like, I'm gonna lose my mind over this fucking Korok. And speaking of things that absolutely infuriate me, gut check rock. Thankfully, it was actually a Grade Taurus shrine that I was supposed to go to this time, which is conveniently a blessing shrine that just gives you a great frostblade with durability up, which is really, honestly, very good. Truthfully, I don't know how much that great frostblade is actually going to help me all that much, because the next location to go to is the North Lomé Labyrinth. Now, for those of you who have not played Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, the labyrinths are in some of the most remote, hard-to-reach locations in the game. The North Lomé Labyrinth is at the top center edge of the map and is really only accessible through this land bridge here. Now, I very much knew that there was a Lynel in the north tap into the snowfields on the way to the labyrinth. It was literally one of the first Lynels I fought in Breath of the Wild ever. But with where I was in the game at this point, I was not surprised to find that it had become a golden Lynel. But rather than try to fight it, I pretty much tried to avoid it as much as I could, only to run smack dab into another golden Lynel that was hanging out only like 20 feet away. Somehow. There's two! Yeah, there's fucking two! There's two of them! Oh my God! Right, I forgot about that. Nothing screams you probably shouldn't be here like putting two of the strongest enemies in the game right next to each other. This is a little bit of a post-editing note, but there's actually another one of them in the western part of the snowfield. And all three of them are in the base game too. And of course, all three of them are golden at this point in the game. Rather than actually talking about it, I don't actually have anything written here. I'm just going to show you what happened with this whole fight. Oh buddy, you're a little bit confused there. I can't wait for the singularity where all of the enemies are golden, honestly. The thing I will say about Tears of the Kingdom is that it also plays a little bit better too, honestly. Especially with these types of fights too. I do miss golden Lynels. I will play the modded Tears of the Kingdom Master Mode whenever it comes out too. Don't tell Nintendo I said that though. It's over, Anakin, I have the high ground. This is what gets the blood pumping in the morning. Just a quick couple of these and you're awake by this point, you know. Oh, I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. I'm dead. Yeah, I'm just dead. Okay, that's fine. I got a little too cocky there for my own good. Just a little bit. I don't think I can get past him, get to the labyrinth without having to go through him. So they deliberately put him there for a reason. And I hate it. I hate it so much. Fuck, I'm just dead again. I'm dead again, aren't I? Yeah, that's cool. I just died the exact same way. Really? Point blank range? Okay, fine. Fuck you. Oh god. The AI was struggling a bit there for a second. And so am I, to be fair. You see, 4 hearts, 12 hearts, it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference, honestly. Because these things are built like a truck, and they will take you down in one hit if you're not careful to. It's really fun. I hate it. Oh, why would you do that? I'm surprised I survived that still, you know? You see, I've done a stupid challenge by fighting all these guys in the depths, too. Like... It doesn't compare. It doesn't compare at all, actually. Fuck. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Okay, so I'm just not gonna fight him anymore, you know? He's a tank. He takes so long to take down, too. The funny thing, and it's ironic that I've already taken down 2 of them by this point, but it's just like, fuck, man, I got places to be. How willing am I to bash my head against this particular wall? Alright, Bastion. Just get ready to run. Now don't tell me there's a third one here. I will be so upset. Now, thankfully for me, this is the only labyrinth in the game that doesn't have guardians. But they compensate with that by just having an absolute metric ton of Lizalfas. And I guess the little golden Lionel. Yeah, right. And what's really bad about this is that the weird amount of jump scare potential that this maze has. Like, you turn a corner and you suddenly see the Lizalfa spot you run up to you and kill you. What was that? The AI is freaking out, and so am I. What? What? What happened? Did I flurry rush one of them, but get caught in the attack by the second one? Good God. Oh, that's unfortunate. And if you die one of these guys, you have to go all the way back to the start of the maze. Oh, how did I survive that? Okay. Oh god, okay, so I'm gonna need Rivali's Gale for a second. Thank goodness I had Ravioli's Gale and could simply just cheese my way through the maze. So much for beating the labyrinth the way the game intended, I guess. And after that it was Eventide Island, which... no. Just... no. Not at this point in the game. After that it was Lurelin Village, a much chiller location than the alternative. And getting killed by enemies over and over and over again. That's what the start of the next video is for, unfortunately. All jokes aside, the north half of the snowfield is actually what I consider to be the worst location in this game.